What are common things that kids are allergic to?
Well, you can be allergic to lots of different things, including medication, environmental things, but one of the most common things we see in our allergy clinics are our food allergies. And the really common food allergies would be egg, cow's milk protein, wheat, sesame, seafood, peanuts, and tree nuts would generally be the most common that we see, as well as soy.
Okay, and so with having an allergy to nuts or seafood or anything, can they eat? Could your child eat something with traces of that in, or is it just a no-no for it?
Yeah, so when we read allergen labels, we definitely get our families to avoid things that says contain the allergen, which in our country we have to label as bold. The may contain is not a legal requirement. And so generally we say that the risk would be low. So we say to our families that would be okay for them to eat it. Although I do know that some of the websites like Askia, they recommend avoidance. So it would be one of those things to chat to about with your doctor. But most of the time in our clinics, we would recommend that it would be low risk. And we've taught our families how to manage a reaction should that happen.
Okay, and what age would you see a reaction usually? Like, is it always as a young baby when they're starting to eat solids, or is it something that can occur later?
So to develop an allergy, you have to have been exposed to it at least once. So sometimes we're seeing infants develop an allergy at that starting solid time. So they might have started a solid and then it's on the second to third time. But it's not just in infancy that you can develop it. You can at any point. And often what we can see as well is someone might have been eating a food regularly and then they have a period without it. And you can lose tolerance and develop an allergy to that as well.
Right. So if I wasn't to expose my child to, say, nuts and certain egg and things until later, is it more likely that they're going to develop an allergy because I haven't exposed them to it when they're younger?
Yeah, so we used to, quite a few years ago when my child was young, the recommendations were that we held off certain highly allergenic foods until later.
Okay.
But now our recommendations are the sooner you can get the food in, the better. So we recommend, when developmentally appropriate, that people start introducing those highly allergenic foods. And the research has shown there is a bit of a protective mechanism by doing so. Not always the case. Your child may still get an allergy, but it's thought that if we introduce them earlier, then we can sometimes prevent an allergy.
When you're pregnant and you're like eating nuts and eggs and that, is that something that could potentially stop allergies from occurring because you're exposing them to that in utero, or is that?
Yeah, so we definitely don't recommend any maternal avoidance of any foods in regards to allergies. And even when breastfeeding, we often will encourage maternal diet to continue most of those foods in early infancy. If their child's known to have an allergy to that food and they react when they're fed, we obviously get them to avoid it, but even sometimes the child can tolerate it.
So with cooking, when you've got a child with allergies and you're cooking the meals separate, do you need to use different utensils for all of that? Are you using a different chopping board, a different everything to avoid that?
Yeah, so it would depend on the degree of the child's allergy. So cross-contamination is something to be mindful of. And if a child does have quite a severe allergy and they are using the same chopping board and exposed to, say, peanut butter because someone's made toast, they were likely to react. So having separate things can be helpful, especially if it's a severe allergy, being really careful with that.